Chapter 34.
Do right!
Mr. Blue finished a gulp, then slammed down the empty glass.
What the bloody hell was all this about then?
Mr. Red shook his head with a thin smile playing upon his lips. Mr. Black, having deactivated the holographic bartender of the Endless, stood behind the counter and passed out drinks.
Simple. Another High Lord became smitten with a human and altered the Nexus timeline, thereby creating a quantum emergent tangent reality.
How does a Time Lord fall in love with a human?
The man in red asked. Mr. White answered rather quickly.
It can happen.
Why, maybe the human fell in love with him.
Mr. Blue shook the empty glass in front of Mr. Black's face. Black took Mr. Blue's glass, set it aside without refilling it, continued, much to Mr. Blue's chagrin.
It was something like that. You've all heard of the Doctor, correct?
A wave of groans erupted from the first traveler, Mr. Blue, and the man in red. Their future incarnation held up a hand.
Look, I didn't ask you all to take care of this. You have the architect to thank for that. Fact is, the Doctor showed up at RKO Studios sometime in his 11th life. He met all those classic stars, including one, Miss Marilyn Monroe, whom apparently became smitten with him.
The black traveler poured a drink.
They were married for a short period in the 50s, although I hear he was reticent for the most part. Not that it matters.
Mr. Blue held out his hand for the drink Black had poured.
You're taking the piss with us? Must be.
I don't know what that means.
Black tossed back a belt of the drink. Mr. Blue rolled his eyes and walked back behind the bar to help himself.
You're pulling our legs,
the man in red answered.
Afraid not,
Black said.
Further facts, the Doctor is apparently equal parts neurotic and erratic. He may have been completely unaware of the chaos, perhaps didn't even know the rift was there at all. His time capsule is known to be occasionally faulty when it comes to warning him of danger.
Mr. Blue grimaced.
Wasn't too keen on his temporal Had's entity.
I found the robot dog charming,
Mr. White commented. The man in red said,
I have a rock dog. Nobody cares. I really thought that was going to be some kind of a villain to take down. Huge intergalactic battle for the future.
The man in red noticed that no one was listening.
Or not.
The first traveler looked over at the fifth.
So, all it took to screw up the entirety of the planet Earth's future was a CHRONARCH with a fetish for human blondes?
I hear that is what gentlemen prefer.
The man in red grinned sheepishly. Black continued to ignore him.
And all it took to fix everything was to have Mr. White temporarily freeze the CEO, Mr. Blue to intercept/divert John Wayne, and then Mr. Red to misplace the script.
Bob's your uncle!
Mr. Blue excitedly exclaimed as he helped himself to a scotch. Black nodded.
Whatever the hell that means. Glad you all accidentally wandered into saving the future.
He held up a glass and a toast. Mr. White said,
I don't understand. I thought the Doctor was one of the good ones. He is, sure. Yet this remains an imperfect universe. No Time Lord can go crashing through the cosmos with zero supervision and expect to create no waves. Remember when we ran into Rainey? Met the meddling monk?
The man in the red held up his hand.
I'm pretty sure none of that's happened yet. Now, alterations aside, are we done here? Have we saved all existence? Officially? Again? 'Cause I got something I need to take care of.
Mr. Blue's eyes twinkled.
Do we have a special lady in the future? Special old guy,
the man in red replied. Mr. Blue's eyes widened. The engineer in the royal white uniform peered over.
Seriously? I didn't think any of my predilections would change, but I suppose what one does in the privacy of one's own incarnation is...
Abruptly, the man in red shot up from his bar stool.
Oh, dear God, that's not what I meant. Not even close. You're complete idiots. The lot of you. And probably the rest of that whole damn color spectrum.
Before his future and past selves could protest, the man in red walked toward a full-length painting of a red British phone booth, then vanished inside. The man in red entered Purge and glanced around at his bridge. The burgundy console hummed. The sangria-hued plush decorations filled the empty spaces. His time machine was warm, friendly, and inviting. He strolled over to the multi-sided lectern. Everything appeared nominal. So he tapped a few buttons on the crimson arm of time. Immediately, the hologram, which depicted him taking a nap, red fedora covering his face, vanished, wavering away into fragments of ambient light. Sully didn't notice. The retired Commodore continued quietly, sobbing as the man in red sat down next to his friend and put an arm around him.
Ah, you okay?